Right now, you are wearing something no one is supposed to see. You put it on this morning without thinking, without ceremony, without any idea that what you just did took your ancestors roughly 170,000 years to figure out. The garment closest to your skin, the one that never shows, may be the strangest invention in all of human history. Not because of what it is, but because of what it replaced. And it starts with a bug. Not a king, not a pharaoh, a louse. In 2011, David Reed, a researcher at the University of Florida Museum of Natural History, published a study calculating the exact moment body lice first diverged from head lice. Here's why that matters. Body lice cannot survive on bare skin. They evolved specifically to live in clothing. Reed's answer, approximately 170,000 years ago. Not 10,000, not 50,000. Before the pyramids, before agriculture. Your ancestors were already wrapping something around their bodies, not out of embarrassment, but because the African climate had entered a brutal glacial period, and bare skin meant death. No fabric survives that long. No leather. Nothing. All we have are bone needles appearing around 50,000 years ago, proof your ancestors were stitching hides to fit their bodies. Animal hide chafes. It stinks. A softer inner layer reduced friction and prevented infections that, in a world without medicine, could be fatal. In other words, the first underwear was not fashion, it was engineering. When archaeologist Howard Carter descended into the tomb of Tutankhamun in 1922, he found golden chariots, jeweled coffins, and buried alongside all of it, untouched for 3,000 years, 145 loincloths. A teenage king, dead before 19, sent into the afterlife with more underwear than most people own in a lifetime. Textile archaeologist Dr. Gillian Vogelsang Eastwood found they were woven from linen so fine, ancient writers called it woven air. And yet it was the most expensive fabric in Egypt, pressed against the pharaoh's skin, seen by no one. That inversion, the most luxurious thing hidden closest to the body, is the secret underwear has kept for 5,000 years. In ancient Rome, it was called the subligaculum. Gladiators wore it. Senators wore it. Women wore the strophium, not for support, but compression. Large breasts were considered unfashionable. In medieval Europe, it became the chemise, boiled clean in an age before soap, worn against skin no one else was permitted to see. To be seen in only your chemise wasn't informal, it was a serious social violation. Then in 2008, renovation workers at Lingberg Castle in Austria found something beneath the floorboards that changed everything. 4 brassiere-like garments. Linen, shaped cups, shoulder straps. Carbon dating by the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology confirmed it, the second half of the 15th century. 500 years before the bra was supposedly invented. For 4 centuries, women wore the corset, architectural scaffolding against the body, because the shape it created was the price of participation in public life. Then, in 1889, in Paris, inventor Herminie Cadolle cut the corset in 2, supporting the chest from the shoulders instead of squeezing it from below. In 1913, socialite Mary Phelps Jacob fixed a wardrobe malfunction with 2 silk handkerchiefs and some pink ribbon. Her friends demanded one. She patented it in 1914, then sold it for $1,500 to Warner Brothers, who made $15 million over the next 30 years. History does not record what her maid received. The union suit began as a women's garment, a feminist rebellion against the corset. Then men adopted it, and its origins were forgotten so completely it became a symbol of frontier American masculinity. Then, in 1934, engineer Arthur Kniebler received a postcard from the French Riviera showing a man in a tight bikini-style swimsuit. He stripped the legs off long underwear, added a Y-shaped fly, and an elastic waistband. On January 19, 1935, the first brief went on sale at Marshall Field's in downtown Chicago. During a blizzard, store managers tried to pull the display from the window. The workers assigned to remove it were delayed. The briefs stayed. By noon, the store had sold out. Over 30,000 pairs in 3 months. A century of full-body coverage ended in a season. Every one of them, the Pharaoh, the Gladiator, the woman in Lingberg Castle, the socialite with her handkerchiefs, was making the same decision. Not about what to show the world, about what to keep for themselves. And this morning, without thinking about any of them, you did the same thing they all did. You got dressed from the inside out.
But here is the question that nobody thinks to ask.
Before the inside, what was there? Because the story of underwear does not begin with linen. It does not begin with Egypt. It does not even begin with the animal hide. It begins with a problem. The oldest problem a warm-blooded body has ever faced. Approximately 2 million years ago, long before clothing, long before controlled fire, long before language, the human ancestor Homo erectus began losing its body hair. Not gradually, not comfortably, just gone. Every other large mammal on Earth kept its fur. The lion, the elephant, the bear, all of them, still furry. Your ancestor, inexplicably, bald from the neck down. And here is where it gets interesting. Between losing body hair at 2 million years ago and inventing clothing at 170,000 years ago, there is a gap. Not a small gap. A gap of 1,830,000 years. 1,830,000 years of essentially naked humans walking around solving the temperature problem with everything except clothing. So what did they actually do? Solution 1. Other people. Archaeological evidence from cave sites suggests early humans clustered together sharing body heat. The first solution to the naked body problem was not fabric. It was your neighbor. Humans are, quite literally, each other's original underwear. Solution 2. Fire. Evidence of controlled fire appears in the archaeological record approximately 400,000 years ago. Fire is the external solution to what clothing would eventually solve internally. Keep the body warm, just from the outside instead of the inside. Effective, but you cannot take a campfire with you on a hunting trip. Nobody has ever successfully chased a mammoth while also carrying a fire. Solution 3. Caves. The strategic use of geography as insulation. Rock retains heat. Position your body against the right wall at the right angle, and the mountain itself keeps you warm. Documented from at least 500,000 years ago. The cave is essentially a very large, very heavy, completely non-portable garment. 3 solutions. 1,830,000 years. Other people. Fire. Caves. And then, the African climate entered a glacial period so brutal that all 3 solutions stopped being enough. So for the first time in 2 million years of problem solving, a human reached for something external, picked it up, and wrapped it around their body. But before the hide, before the animal, there was the oldest covering in human history, the leaf. Not metaphorically, not just biblically, literally. Large tropical leaves pressed against the body provide genuine thermal regulation. They trap air, they block wind, they reduce moisture loss from skin. Archaeological evidence confirms that early humans used plant materials for covering long before textiles or treated hides existed. The book of Genesis records Adam and Eve sewing fig leaves together. Biblical scholars debate the theology. Archaeologists note that fig trees were abundant in that geographic region, and their leaves are among the more practical plant covering options available. For once, the ancient text and the archaeological record are in complete agreement about the material. Then came bark cloth, one of humanity's oldest textile techniques, predating weaving entirely. The inner bark of specific trees, beaten flat with a stone, produces a material that is softer than you expect, warmer than it looks, and requires 0 animal to produce. UNESCO recognized bark cloth production as a masterpiece of human heritage, precisely because it predates weaving, as one of the oldest known textile traditions. In Uganda, the tradition survived in continuous use until the 19th century. Your ancestors were not primitive. They had found something that worked, and they were not going to fix it until something better came along. Something better came along. It smelled considerably worse than bark, but it was warmer. A fresh, untreated animal hide, pressed directly against human skin, smells remarkable. Within days, the hide begins decomposing from the inside, producing compounds that, to a modern nose, would register somewhere between a butcher shop and a very confident garbage bin. The first humans to wear clothing did not smell like perfume. They smelled like proof of concept. And there was another problem. Raw hide is stiff. It chafes, and it does not stay on. The first fashion crisis in human history. was not what to wear. It was how to keep it on. The solution was both elegant and universal. Route the fabric between the legs and up over the waist. The body itself becomes the fastening mechanism. This design, the loincloth, appeared independently in every human civilization on Earth. Every single one, without cultural exchange, without communication across continents. Ancient Egypt, ancient India, pre-Columbian Americas, ancient Japan, sub-Saharan Africa, all of them, independently, arrived at the same solution. The loincloth is not a cultural invention. It is a mathematical inevitability. Then, approximately 120,000 years ago, confirmed by bone scraper tools found at Contrabandier's cave in Morocco, someone discovered something extraordinary. The brain of the animal, the same animal whose hide you were wearing, if rubbed into the hide, transforms it completely. Soft, flexible, water-resistant, and, crucially, no longer aggressively fragrant. This technique is called brain tanning. Most animals produce, ironically enough, brain matter to tan their own hide. Nature accidentally built something close to a processing kit into every animal it created. Your ancestors found it, used it, and suddenly, the layer against the skin was soft. Then, approximately 30,000 years ago, something happened in a cave in what is now the country of Georgia that rewrote everything historians thought they knew about early humans. Archaeologists excavating Zudzwana Cave found something they were not expecting. Wild flax fibers, twisted into thread, dyed in multiple colors: gray, turquoise, pink, black. These were not accident colors. These were chosen colors. 30,000 years ago, 25,000 years before Egypt, 20,000 years before the first cities, a human being in a cave looked at a wild plant, twisted its fibers into thread, dyed the thread pink, and made something beautiful, for reasons we will never fully know. The first true fashion choice in human history was not a pharaoh's crown. It was not a warrior's armor. It was someone in a cave deciding that gray was fine, but turquoise was better. Then came the invention that changed everything. The one tool in human history, so perfectly designed on the first attempt that it has not been meaningfully improved in 50,000 years. The bone needle. The geometry of a needle manufactured in a factory today is identical to the geometry of a bone needle from 50,000 BC. Nothing humans have ever made has been so perfectly conceived on the first attempt that it required zero modification for 50,000 years. Not the wheel, not the arch, not the axe, the needle. Before the needle, garments were draped. After the needle, garments were fitted. The difference is the difference between a tent and a building. For the first time in the long history of keeping warm, a human being pulled on something that moved when they moved, that stayed when they ran, that was shaped, specifically, to them. And now, the part nobody tells you. The word underwear only entered the English language in approximately 1872. For the entire preceding 170,000-year history, these garments had no collective name. The concept of underwear as a category is around 150 years old. Greater than the technology that makes your waistband possible, was invented in 1820 by Thomas Hancock. But elastic waistbands and underwear specifically did not appear until the 1920s. Every human being before that wore their innermost layer held up by ties, buttons, or drawstrings. Every single one, including Napoleon. Ancient Romans washed their innermost garments in vats of human urine collected from pots on street corners. The ammonia in urine was the most effective cleaning agent available. The urine collection industry was so profitable that the Emperor Vespasian taxed it. The phrase, "money has no smell," still used in several European languages today, comes directly from Vespasian's defense of the urine tax. Vespasian looked at a bucket of street urine and saw a revenue stream. This is either genius or something else entirely. Synthetic fiber underwear, nylon, polyester, spandex, was only introduced in the late 1930s and 1940s. Every human being who lived before then wore underwear made exclusively of natural fibers: cotton, linen, wool, silk. The synthetic fiber against your skin right now, if you are wearing it, is a technology younger than color television, meaning your grandfather wore the same fiber technology as Julius Caesar for literally all of recorded human history. And right now, in laboratories around the world, the innermost layer is becoming something else again. Smart underwear, already in clinical trials, woven with sensors that monitor heart rate, body temperature, hydration levels, and early markers for certain conditions. The garment closest to your skin, becoming the most powerful medical diagnostic tool in human history. More data than a hospital checkup. Continuous, passive, invisible. From the first human who wrapped a stiff, smelly hide around themselves in a glacial African winter, to the cave dweller in Georgia who chose turquoise thread because gray was simply not enough, to the person who discovered that a brain could soften its own hide. Every single one of them was solving the same problem. The layer closest to the body, what it is made of, what it does, what it says about who you are when nobody is looking. 2 million years of problem solving. Other people, fire, caves, hide, brain tanning, flax thread and turquoise, the bone needle, the loincloth that every civilization invented independently, the urine vat of Rome, the elastic that arrived 169,850 years too late, the synthetic fiber younger than your television,
the leaf.
All of it. Every single invention, every single discovery, every single rebellion, in service of the same layer, the one nobody was supposed to see, the one that was always just yours. This morning, without thinking, without ceremony, you did what every human being who has ever lived has done. You solved the oldest problem a warm-blooded body has ever faced. You got dressed from the inside out.